The Resident Evil 4 remake has made an absolutely stunning arrival, and with it comes 39 achievements on Xbox and PC, and 40 trophies on PlayStation. While many of the trophies can require a bit of effort to unlock, others come much easier. Here then are 7 trophies and achievements that are pretty easy to pick up. Before we get started though, as with all the more modern RE games, there are a number of trophies that are practically impossible to miss if you play the game regularly. So we won't be covering those here, but I'll put them on the screen for your reference. Also, as a side note, if you're looking to get all the trophies and are struggling, be sure to make use of the in-game unlock shop that is unlocked at the end of your first playthrough. Completing challenges will open items and net you in-game currency, and it can be a massive help for some of those tougher trophies. But without further ado, let's get started. Shield your eyes. The first item on our list requires you to take out 3 enemies with a single flash grenade. While this may sound a bit odd for those unfamiliar with the original, you can insta-kill crows and exposed forms of Las Plagas with a flash grenade. This can be done quite effortlessly in Chapter 3 when leaving the church, heading towards the quarry. You'll come across a large open arena filled with crows and 2 infected wolves. Simply chuck a flash grenade before stirring the crows, and you'll pick up this one. However, if you missed this, there are plenty of combat scenarios that will throw exposed Plaga forms at you, especially within the castle portion of the game. Given how useful flash grenades are in Resident Evil 4, you'll definitely want to buy the recipe and keep a few on you at all times. Doing that, you'll easily grab this trophy in a playthrough of the game. Overkill. Kill an enemy using the cannon. There is more than one opportunity to grab this within one playthrough, and both opportunities are mandatory. The first opportunity will come upon arrival at the castle. To ensure you grab this right away, just take out the opposing cannons without taking out hardly any of the ground enemies. To do this, take out the first 2 you come across, then take out the cannon by the stairs by hitting the exposed barrel. Then head across the bridge to the area where the unraised cannon is and drop down. You can also drop the weight without dropping down to the area, but there will be a risk of actually getting grabbed or killed by the opposing cannons otherwise. So drop down, then make your way back until you reach this spot, in which you can take out the remaining cannons without needing to worry about cannon fire or ground enemies. Upon leaving this spot, try to make it back to the cannon without killing any of the ground enemies, unless there's an enemy next to the cannon that may grab Ashley. Then it'll be pretty easy to hit one of the remaining enemies. Without spoiling too much, the next opportunity is unmissable, and there's a group of enemies waiting by the door you have to take out with the cannon, so it's basically impossible to miss it here as long as you're aware of it. Never heard it coming. Kill a Garrador with only a knife. While this may appear intimidating, this is actually a much easier way to fight the enemies, so long as you can spare the durability of your knife. As with the previous entry, you'll have 2 opportunities to grab this one that are unmissable. For the first scenario, provided you come in with a durable knife, the biggest obstacle is the arena itself. You'll have to navigate around the chains carefully so as to not give away your location. The enemy can also sometimes remain agitated in this stage, as it can prompt itself to hit the status with all the chains hanging about. This is an issue due to the fact that it'll randomly thrash about, making approaching it in stealth difficult. But also the knife prompt won't show if they're too agitated, leading to either having to wait a while, carefully navigating, or going for non-prompt jabs that only deal less damage but are sure to cause you to trade blows. The second scenario is actually much easier despite the fact that there are 2 Garradors in this encounter. For this, you'll want to have the bolt thrower. This way you can take out the waves of enemies that attack in this room without stirring the Garradors. Simply shoot the legs of the enemies, then kick or suplex them, retrieve your bolts, and repeat. As long as you don't stand too still, this is an easy way to clear out the room, though you'll want to remain in the side halls or the entryway as much as possible. So long as you don't use a gun or get too close to the Garradors, they will remain passive. It'll also take a few shots to stir them, so you can switch to your shotgun to take out the occasional shield, or plug ahead without stirring the Gyarados fully. If you still haven't gotten this by your second playthrough, you can also use the Primal Knife, with its infinite durability to clear out the entire room with just your knife. You'll know you're near the end of the enemies when you start getting Plaga transformations, at least on standard. At that point, you can go loud and clear the room. Once only the Gyarados remains, you can switch to going knife only. While there are two to contend with, the arena is large and filled with objects to distract them. This makes it easy to keep your distance when they're alert, and stealthily approach when they're primed for a backstab. There are also knives in this room that you can pick up as well. The Gyarados will sometimes agitate and swing at each other, which will cause them to get stuck in that state. If that happens, you can hit a bell or a crate with an arrow to get them to separate. All in all, it's pretty easy to remain in stealth, and the area is big enough that having two there isn't much of a problem if you stay in stealth. If they catch you, simply try to create some distance, then hit a bell or a crate. Though there should be enough knives in this room for the second scenario, if you're having issues with knife durability, beating the campaign once will unlock the Primal Knife. It's tied to the Clockwork Castellans, but this Primal Knife can be upgraded to have infinite durability. Astute Appraiser. This requires you to sell a single treasure for over 100,000 pesetas. This can really only be done with treasures with a large number of gem slots, particularly the crown is an easy one to do it with. When you're adding gems, you'll want to be mindful of the combination bonuses and the value of the gems themselves. You can see the chart for the combination modifier by hitting square on PlayStation or X on PC or Xbox. While obtaining a high multiplier on this chart is important, the gem value can carry more weight. Here you'll see a mix of yellow and red, which is ultimately more valuable than using gems required for the highest multiplier. 2 bugs, 1 stone. This can be done quite easily the moment you obtain the biosensor scope. You'll need to obtain a wrench from one of the regenerators sleeping in the cryopods. They won't stir until you break the glass, so you can take your time to line up a shaft. If you don't get it here, you'll likely get a good angle on accident while fighting a regenerator at some point, as they can be pretty tightly clustered together in some, but if you don't, be sure to hunt down the Iron Maiden from the merchant's request, as this one will be absolutely covered in bugs. Trick Shot. This item on the list requires you to destroy 5 targets with 1 shot in the shooting range. This is easiest done on 4C, when a line of targets pops up on the right. While it can also be done on the opposite side as well, it's much harder to line up there. This challenge at the range will open up near the end of the game, and can also be done at any range when playing on New Game Plus.
You have to trust me. Great, we're partners then.
Hey, why are you...
No time for any questions. The clock is ticking.
Why are you helping us?
Because it makes me feel better. Let's leave it at that.
You talk too much. This item simply requires you to throw a grenade into Salazar's mouth. Here you'll have to hit the real Salazar in the mouth or head. I don't think it needs to be super precise. It's mostly just ensuring that you have a grenade and you're not missing with it. If you're having issues, try hitting him when he's doing an attack that shoots his oozy acid. Also, hanging about on the top floor usually gets him to get quite close to you. So those are some tips to keep in mind for that one.
You too, huh? Take care of yourself, buddy.